Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. I recently spent a week in Reno at the GAMA Expo, and if you don't know, the GAMA Expo is a trade show where publishers get to show a lot of their upcoming games. Games that will be coming out later this year or next year, and it's so exciting. It is very exciting because you just get to see all of these cool things that are coming out. You know, it gets you really hyped, it really gets you juiced for board games. And so that's why I want to make this video. I want to talk about 10 games I saw at GAMA that are coming out soon-ish that I'm super excited about. All 10 of these games are going to be dope. They're going to be great. You're going to love them. 10 games from GAMA. The best two-player game I played was Kyrie the Duel, which will be coming out either the end of 2023 or the beginning of 2024 from Lucky Duck Games. It is a very small card game. There's not a lot to it, but it is brilliant in how it works. You will be facing off against another player and choosing one of the cards in your hand at the same time and then revealing and doing what that card says. That's, pretty standard for games. A lot of games do that. But there is a track and you are moving towards or away from each other and then trying to hit each other. You are playing as samurais, and that's also, that's super fun, but also not crazy different. The thing that makes this game really unique and interesting is you have different stances. So if my blade is up here, I can play a card to come down here, but now I have to play a card from a low stance because my sword is low, so I need to come back up or I need to come across. And so you know what someone else has played, you know what stance they're in, so you have a little bit of information, but you're still trying to figure out how to outsmart them. You're trying to figure out how to move and do something unexpected and swiping them with your sword. And it's really cool and unique and interesting. And, for a two-player card game, feels really, really fun, both fun and thinky at the same time. So it's one I'm stoked about. I think it's going to be a hit. I'm almost positive it's going to be a hit because it certainly won't cost that much, but there is a lot of replayability in the game. Check it out when it comes out. Kyrie the Duel. The best cooperative game I played was Sky Team from Hachette. This is coming out around October, so look for it then. Sky Team is a two-player only game where you are working together with the other player to fly an airplane. And you're doing it by rolling dice and placing dice. So you need to keep multiple things in mind. You gotta keep your wings level. You gotta, increase your brake speed so that you slow down. You gotta make sure the runway is cleared. There's a bunch of different things to be done so that you can land the plane safely. And you are essentially rolling dice, putting them on stuff, and trying to have usually similar dice in places. You don't want there to be too big of a gap between the dice I played and the dice you played, or then we're gonna barrel roll, or we're gonna do stuff like that. It's a very quick game. Each airport, there will be something like 10 airports in the game, and they increase in difficulty. I only had a chance to play the first airport, and it's pretty simple. I mean, most players are going to win the first airport, but then it escalates in difficulty from there, and the hardest of the airports can be very challenging and can lose. But, it's a game that plays in about 15 minutes. To me, it feels like a really great game to kick off a date night. Hey, we want to have something that's very cooperative, but, short and simple to get into, and then we can move on to, harder games together. But this feels like, hey, we had a chance to connect and play and warm up to other big things. So, Sky Team, a real fun two-player cooperative game. The most innovative game I saw was Leaf from Weird City Games. This had a very successful Kickstarter not that long ago, but it will have a full release in October of 2023. And it's a really pretty game, a nature-themed game, but the innovative aspect of it is you will be playing cards to get these leaves, and then you will be placing leaves on the forest floor. And they are, three-dimension leaves. There are a bunch of different types of leaves, and they all have different, points of their, the branches of the leaf sort of thing. And so you are placing the leaves down in a spatial puzzle and getting actions for touching tips of leaves to other tips of other leaves. So, you'll be kind of putting them together. It's really interesting. And all the different color leaves come with different actions. So you could create a touching point of like 5 different tips or touching. Well, that's going to get you 5 actions, but maybe those aren't the actions you want because you actually, maybe it's better for you to place over here. You're only creating 2 connections, but they're actions that you really want to take. And so it just feels that spatial puzzle of trying to touch the tips of leaves together. It kind of feels dirty the way I'm saying it. I don't mean it like that. Do you want to touch these tips together, huh? No, it's just a nice nature theme game. It's very peaceful. There's nothing dirty about it at all, unless you consider soil dirty, because it's about the forest floor. There's gonna be soil. It's gonna be dirty, just not in a sexual way. So I don't know, it's just really cool. I really love the look of it. It has a lot of table presence, on the table when you're putting all the leaves down and then seeing all the whole forest floor. It just looks really cool on the table, and it feels very innovative how you take your actions and how you gain your actions in the game. The most beautiful game I saw was Redwood from Sit Down Games and Flat River Group. The cover is insanely gorgeous. It was one of those things where I was like, I'm immediately interested. I'm immediately invested in this game. I know nothing what it is. I don't know anything about it, but that cover is so beautiful. It just made me want in right away. Now, I will say about Redwood and Leaf, the last one I talk about, they are both sort of interchangeable to me in terms of most beautiful and most innovative, because Redwood is also a very innovative game. You're playing as a wildlife photographer, and you are trying to estimate angles of view, and you do that by literally grabbing these plastic pieces and laying them down over the board. And some plastic pieces will give you a view that's narrow but long. Some will give you a view that's wide but short. And so you are trying to take photos of different wildlife, but you have to do it by sort of thinking about angles and lengths and estimations and all of that sort of stuff. So it feels very different in that way. I mean, I've never, drafted a plastic piece and put it on the board to sort of, see what I could see. It's very interesting that way. But the board, again, is also so gorgeous. The artwork is just incredibly beautiful. It's another nature-themed game, and we've had a lot of those, but people keep finding ways to do it differently. So Redwood is another one I want to check out. And sit-down games, I think, in general, makes pretty innovative games. They make games that some of them work really well and some of them might not, but they're always different and unique. I respect that from a publisher who's taking big swings and trying different things, because there's a lot of games coming out all the time and it's hard to do something unique, and sit down games is definitely doing something unique. So I'm excited to get into Redwood. The best production goes to Queen by Midnight from Darrington Press. This game looks incredible on the table. There is a giant clock dice tower that literally rotates from player to player. It tracks turn, you drop dice down it, it offers you cards. It's just, it's one of those things where you're like, oh my God, we can make this sort of stuff? Board games has this sort of capability? I don't know. Anytime I see something like this, I just feel proud of the board game hobby in general, because I'm like, man, we're all killing. You guys are killing it, we're just killing it together. You know, Queen by Midnight is a deck building game, so if you are a fan of deck building game, this one is definitely one to check out. The theme of the game, the queen has died, and you are playing as one of 6 princesses trying to become queen by midnight. It's a tournament of challenges and guile and deception. And, you know, it's all of the characters are asymmetric in the game. They're going to have their own cards tailored to them. There are also, you know, cards that everybody can use, but there are asymmetric decks and cards. And so there's a lot of replayability in the game because you get to, you know, different strategies for different characters and all that stuff. So, you know, Darrington Press is starting to release board games a lot more these days. And so I'm excited for this one, and I'm just excited to see what they come out with in the future. And welcome to the space. Best theme goes to Cosmoctopus from Lucky Duck Games. The theme of this game is that you are trying to become the most devoted follower of the Great Inky One, this giant celestial octopus godlike being. And so it's obviously a very wild and weird theme, but that's what I love about it. It feels different, you know? This is kind of a space game, but it's not your traditional space game. You want to be in this octopus cult, okay? You want to be the leader of this octopus cult, and I am here for that, all right? The game is a lighter weight game. It's an engine building game. You will be moving the octopus standee from space to space in a shared grid of tiles and then taking the actions of those tiles. And ultimately, you want to get the most tentacles. If you can get 8 tentacles first, you are the most devoted follower and you win the game. So, I don't know, I just love that silly sort of tongue-in-cheek theme here. And, you know, I'm just a big fan of the Great Inky One. You know, I've been a fan for a while, and I'm just glad that they're making a board game about it finally so we can spread the gospel. The best party game I played was Trash Talk from Deepwater Games. In the game, one player sits behind a privacy screen and they have to assign objects to words, and then everybody else has to guess how they've associated and how they've assigned stuff. It's called Trash Talk because they're kind of like trash items. They're random things. You know, you have like a houseplant figurine, you have a dinosaur head, you have a stress ball. The words that come up will also be random. They're not typically associated with any of those objects, but you have to make connections. So, for instance, you know, if a word comes up and it's like YOLO, well, are you going to associate the dinosaur head with YOLO because, you know, dinosaurs literally YOLO'd before they went extinct? Or are you going to associate the stress ball with YOLO? Because YOLO is all about like no stress, just having fun, living in the moment. There's no stress here, you know? So which one of those makes you think of the word? And so the one player will be doing it, and then everybody else is discussing and trying to figure out how they arranged. And that's the best part of this game. And one of the things I like just about party games in general is that they can spark conversation and debate. That's where the fun and funniness comes in, is not, there's no joke on the card, but when people are like, no, that's wrong, why would you do it like that? This is the way you should have done it. This is what I think. You know, it's funny to hear people's justifications and thought processes. That's what makes me laugh in a lot of party games, and Trash Talk does it very well. To win the game, you then start revealing more and more cards. So the first round, it's 3 cards, but if you can get up to 10 cards and you can get all of the associations correct, you win the game. The best smaller box game I played was Stone Spine Architects from Thunderworks Games. One of my favorite games of the past few years has been Cartographers, also from Thunderworks Games, and this game, Stone Spine Architects, is designed by the same designer as cartographers. So when they said that to me, that immediately made me interested, and we had a chance to sit down and play it, and it's super fun. It's a drafting game and sort of card laying, tile laying-esque game. So you are passing cards around, drafting cards in a very, typical drafting manner, and then playing cards down in your tableau to create a dungeon. And you're going to get points for creating pathways that work together in the dungeon. You're going to get points for creating exits. You're going to get points for collecting traps in your dungeon, for getting monsters in your dungeon. There's a bunch of different ways to score points in the game, but it's a fun little spatial puzzle of how you're going to play your cards down, where you want to put stuff, what you're going to go for. And the drafting, it almost feels like this is like fantasy nerdy Sushi Go. It's the same draft and pass system of Sushi Go and all of the different ways to score points, but we're building a dungeon and fighting kobolds and getting, pits and stuff like that. All nerdy fantasy stuff. I love Sushi Go, I love nerdy stuff, so the combination of them works really well in Stone Spine Architects. The best big strategy game I played was Expeditions from Stonemaier Games. This is the highly anticipated sequel to Scythe, and boy does it deliver. Now, I have to say right up front that I actually haven't played Scythe, so when I say it delivers, it's not for me in comparison to Scythe, it just delivers as a game. It's a great game, it's super fun. I had a chance to play through one game of it, and it is a big strategy game where there's a lot of different pathways to victory, there's a lot of different decisions to make, but every turn moves super quickly. You don't have that much to do on one specific turn, so it's just boom, 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 boom around the table. I don't like games where I have to wait for you for 5 minutes to figure out, make a decision already, Gary. But this game, I just don't feel like there's much room for analysis paralysis because it's moving quickly and you have a chance to think about what you're going to do before it comes to your turn. So once it's your turn, you're like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do right now. Like I said, I haven't played Scythe, but I did play this with other people that have played Scythe, and almost everybody I talk to likes this more. They feel like it smooths out any frustrations or problems that they had with Scythe. And, that's pretty cool, man, because Scythe obviously is already a really great game, already a really beloved game. And so if this can do it better, that's amazing. Who saw that coming? Probably Stonemaier saw it coming, and probably a lot of gamers, but I'm still very happily, pleasantly surprised here. The biggest surprise of GAMA Expo for me, in a good way, was Wild Tiled West from Direwolf Digital. This game came out of nowhere. I haven't heard of it before. I haven't seen anything online about it. I haven't heard anybody talking about it. I saw, the banner at the show and was like, what is that? How have I never heard of this before? And the game is super fun. It is, the way the game works, it's a Wild West themed game, rootin' tootin', and I love I love Wild West themes. And so in the game, you roll some dice, and then you place those dice on a shared center board based on the values, and then that determines what tiles you can draft. You can only draft tiles from spaces that have dice at them. Then you draft tiles, and then you will be placing them on your own individual boards. And you're placing tiles to do things like creating herds of cows, or you're placing them in order to have line of sight shots at bandits because you're the sheriff and you want to shoot a bandit, and you'll get points for all of these different things. I'm a sucker for tile laying games. I'm a sucker for dice placement games, and this is a great combination of both of those things. I don't feel like I've played too many dice placement tile laying games, but Wild West is doing it. Wild Tiled West. Sorry, I don't. That's the whole clever part of it. You can't leave out tiled. That. When somebody came up with that, everybody went, "You get yes, Jeff, you did it. You figured out the name." Everybody was very excited when they figured out Wild Tiled West. But I just, it's a game I'm excited for sure. It's going to come out direct to retail in July, so we don't have to wait that long for this one, and it's for sure one that I am going to be getting when it comes out because it's surprise. I love when a game, you haven't even heard of. There's a lot of games that get a lot of hype all the time, that you're anticipating for a year or 18 months or stuff like that. It's not that often that a game just comes out of nowhere and you love it. And so that's Wild Tiled West for me. That's what I got for you. Those are 10 amazing games from GAMA that you will be able to get soon-ish. All of them are worth checking out for different reasons, but I feel like they're all going to be really fun games, and I'm excited about all of them. I hope you saw something here that gets you excited. We got a lot to look forward to. Board gaming is in such a great place right now. I appreciate all these publishers bringing the heat, bringing great games. So thanks so much for checking it out. Please like and subscribe to my channel so that I can bring you information about more amazing upcoming games. I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Thanks, everybody.